Hey, I know the feeling when you're scrolling through home theater options and wondering if you're about to drop a few $100 on something that will end up gathering dust. I was just chatting with a buddy who's trying to decide whether to upgrade his living room sound, and the big question was, will this thing really make movies feel like you're sitting in a theater, or is it just a fancy set of speakers that look great on paper? Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. What makes the decision tough is that a lot of wireless speaker kits promise a clutter-free setup, but then demand a maze of Wi-Fi tweaks, firmware updates, and a room that's practically a showroom to shine. The Sony BRAVIA Theater Quad tries to bridge that gap by combining 4 wireless satellite speakers, a central hub, and optional bass modules into a single 16-speaker system that claims to map sound in 360 degrees and calibrate itself to the room. It's a lot of tech for one package, so let's break down what that actually means when you pull it out of the box and start using it day to day. First off, the physical layout is surprisingly straightforward. The hub sits on a TV stand or a low cabinet, and the 4 satellite speakers are designed to be placed on the front left, front right, rear left, and rear right corners of the room. Because they're wireless, you're not hunting for long speaker cables, but you do need a power outlet for each speaker. In my test setup, I had to run a short extension cord to the rear right speaker, which was the only hiccup. Sony's design assumes you have an outlet within a few feet of each spot. If you're in a room where outlets are scarce, you'll need a power strip or a short run of cord, which can slightly detract from the now promise. What sets this system apart is the 360 spatial sound mapping. The hub sends out a low-frequency calibration tone that the speakers listen to, then uses built-in mics to gauge how sound reflects off walls, windows, and furniture. The result is a room-optimized sound field that feels more natural than manually tweaking an equalizer. In practice, I noticed a clearer separation between dialogue and background effects in a dialogue-heavy thriller. The voices stayed anchored to the center while explosions seemed to sweep around the room without feeling like they were coming from an invisible source. That's the room-optimized claim in action. It adapts to the quirks of your space rather than forcing you to fit a one-size-fits-all soundstage. Dolby Atmos and DTS/X support are baked into the hub, which means you get object-based audio when you stream from a compatible source. Think Netflix or Amazon Prime Video titles that are mixed for Atmos. In a recent home theater night with Spider-Man: No Way Home, the rain scenes truly felt three-dimensional. Droplets seemed to fall above and behind you, and the music swelled overhead. The effect is subtle but noticeable, and it doesn't require a separate subwoofer to feel immersive, though Sony does sell an optional bass module that slots in if you crave deeper low-end. Speaking of bass, the bass configuration comes with a modest low-frequency driver that handles most movie thumps adequately for a medium-sized living room. If you have a larger space or you're a fan of feeling every rumble in an action film, the optional bass add-in is worth considering. Without it, you might notice the low end feeling a little thin during a big car chase sequence. That's the trade-off. You get a clean, articulate soundstage right out of the box, but you might need to spend extra if you want the full cinema-grade punch. Now, let's talk about who will actually benefit from this system. If you already own a Sony BRAVIA TV, you get an extra layer of synergy. The hub can communicate with the TV over HDMI ERC, allowing the TV to pass through the exact audio format the speakers need, and the TV's remote can control volume and source selection without you juggling multiple remotes. That convenience is a real time saver and makes the whole setup feel like a single, integrated product rather than a collection of accessories. The sweet spot for this system is a dedicated home theater room or an open-concept living area where you can place the speakers at ear level and have enough space for the sound to travel. If you're living in a studio apartment with a tiny couch and a single wall for a TV, you'll likely end up compromising speaker placement, and the room calibration algorithm might struggle to compensate for the cramped environment. In that scenario, a more compact soundbar with a built-in sub might give you better results for less effort. Another consideration is the Wi-Fi environment. Because the speakers talk to the hub over your home network, a weak or congested router can cause occasional dropouts, especially if you have multiple smart devices streaming simultaneously. In my house, the system performed flawlessly on a dual-band router, but after a neighbor's new smart home hub started hogging the 2.4 GHz band, I noticed a brief lag in the rear.